You did not arrive at this message by accident. Something in you already knows that. Something in you has felt the shift. You have felt the tension building, the strange pressure, the sudden resistance that seems to rise the moment things begin to move forward in your life. You have asked yourself questions. Why now? Why does everything become chaotic the moment progress appears? Why do doors begin opening, only for confusion, delays, and unexpected storms to suddenly appear? Listen carefully. This is not random. The world may call it bad luck. The world may call it stress. The world may call it coincidence. But you are not the world. You are chosen. And when you begin moving closer to what was written over your life before you were born, darkness notices, not later, immediately. Because the shadow realm does not wait until you arrive at destiny. It strikes before. It strikes early. It strikes preemptively. It strikes in hopes that confusion will stop what heaven has already authorized. And that is why this message found you. Because there are 9 signals that begin appearing when your success starts threatening unseen forces. 9 patterns, 9 warnings, 9 confirmations that your life is no longer moving quietly through the world. Something greater has begun, and when that happens, the battle begins early. But here is the part many chosen ones misunderstand. The resistance you feel is not evidence that you are on the wrong path. It is often evidence that you are finally on the right one. Darkness does not mobilize armies against people going nowhere. It mobilizes against people who are about to rise. That is why the chaos increases when your calling activates. That is why pressure appears when your influence expands. That is why confusion appears right when clarity was about to break through. If this message resonates with something deep in your spirit, if you have been sensing that your life has entered a strange new level of spiritual tension, then you are not imagining it. You are recognizing it. And the chosen must learn to recognize the battlefield. So before we go deeper, take a moment. Stand in the awareness of who you are. Subscribe to this channel. Join this growing circle of awakened souls. Because every message here is designed for people like you. People who were never meant to live asleep. People who were never meant to blend into the ordinary. People who were marked long before the world noticed them. Now listen carefully, because the first signal often arrives quietly. So quietly that many chosen ones almost miss it. First, sudden chaos appears exactly when your breakthrough is closest. You begin to feel momentum. For the first time in a long time, something starts aligning. Opportunities appear. New ideas ignite. Doors begin opening that once felt sealed shut. And for a moment, you feel hope. You feel movement. You feel destiny beginning to breathe again. But then something strange happens. Suddenly, everything becomes chaotic. Unexpected problems appear. Plans collapse. Arguments emerge out of nowhere. Distractions multiply. You begin wondering what went wrong. You ask yourself if you misread the signs. You wonder if the door was never meant for you in the first place. But chosen one, look deeper. This pattern is ancient. When your timeline accelerates, resistance activates. Because the shadow realm does not wait for your breakthrough. It attempts to disrupt it before it manifests. That chaos you experience is not always natural. Sometimes it is strategic. Confusion is one of darkness' favorite weapons. If it cannot destroy your calling, it will attempt to distract you from it. If it cannot stop your destiny, it will try to exhaust you before you reach it. So chaos erupts, not to defeat you, but to discourage you, not to destroy your purpose, but to convince you that pursuing it is too costly. Yet this is the secret most people never learn. The closer you move toward divine alignment, the louder resistance becomes. Because your movement threatens something. Your light exposes something. Your rise disrupts something. So the storm appears. But storms do not always mean danger. Sometimes storms mean you are approaching sacred territory. Sometimes chaos is the final barrier before manifestation. And if you have been experiencing this strange pattern, breakthrough followed by disruption, momentum followed by sudden resistance, then hear this clearly. You may not be under random stress. You may be under preemptive spiritual attack, which means something powerful is closer than you realize, and the shadow realm knows it. But what happens next? What happens when the attacks stop being subtle when the battlefield expands beyond circumstances, when the pressure begins coming through people themselves. Chosen one. That is when the second signal begins to reveal itself. Second, understand this. There comes a moment in the life of a chosen one when the atmosphere around you begins to change. Not the sky, not the city, the people. The same people who once overlooked you suddenly watch you closely. The same voices that once ignored you begin speaking your name with a different tone, and something about that tone feels cold. You feel it. Conversations become tense. Energy shifts in rooms. People who once seemed neutral now act distant, competitive, even hostile. You ask yourself a quiet question. Why now? Why did everything change the moment your life began moving forward? Listen carefully, because this is one of the clearest signals that spiritual warfare has moved into a new phase around your destiny. When your light begins intensifying, something happens in the unseen. It begins exposing what people carry inside them. Your growth reveals insecurity. Your focus reveals confusion. Your authority awakens comparison. And many people do not even understand why they suddenly feel uncomfortable around you. They cannot explain it. They just feel it. Because the anointing on your life creates contrast. Light does that. Light reveals what darkness tries to hide. And when people who once ignored you suddenly become cold, critical, or strangely competitive, it often means something deeper is happening. They are not responding to who you used to be. They are reacting to who you are becoming. And the enemy knows something most people forget. If he cannot stop your destiny internally, he will attempt to create pressure externally. He will stir tension through people. He will provoke jealousy. He will whisper comparisons. He will use human vessels to test your emotional stability. Because if your heart becomes bitter, your focus becomes scattered. But you must understand something that very few people ever realize. Their reaction is not truly about you. It is about what you carry, the authority forming in you, the clarity awakening in you, the quiet confidence beginning to rise inside you. Not everyone can stand near that kind of light without feeling exposed. And when exposure happens, reactions follow. Some will withdraw, some will criticize, some will suddenly compete with you as if your success somehow threatens their identity. But you must not misinterpret this moment. This is not rejection, this is revelation. You are seeing clearly now. You are seeing who celebrates your growth and who feels threatened by it. The chosen must learn this lesson. Not everyone who walked beside you during your preparation will remain comfortable during your elevation, because elevation changes the atmosphere, and the enemy will always attempt to weaponize insecure hearts. But you were never called to shrink your light to make others comfortable. You were called to rise. Even when rising reveals tension, even when rising exposes hidden resistance, even when rising means walking through rooms where the energy suddenly shifts the moment you arrive. Do not dim your light. Do not apologize for your calling. Do not shrink your destiny to soothe people who were never meant to walk your full path. Because this pressure, this coldness, this strange hostility is often proof that your spiritual authority is becoming visible, and the enemy is reacting early. But understand this, the warfare does not stop here, because what happens next goes even deeper. Soon the battlefield moves beyond people. Soon the pressure begins attacking something even more personal. Your strength, your energy, your focus. Chosen one, that is when the third signal begins to reveal itself. Third, understand this carefully. The battle begins moving closer to you now. Closer than circumstances, closer than other people. It begins touching your strength. You know this experience. You wake up with energy. You move through your day with clarity. Your mind works. Your body responds. But the moment you sit down to do the thing connected to your calling, something shifts. Suddenly you feel drained. Your mind becomes foggy. Your focus slips away. Your body grows heavy. You try to concentrate, but distractions appear. Fatigue spreads through you like a slow wave, and you ask yourself a frustrating question. Why am I suddenly exhausted? All day you felt fine. All day your energy was normal. But the moment you move toward purpose, everything slows down. Chosen one, recognize this pattern, because this is where the warfare becomes more precise. The enemy studies momentum. He watches when your clarity rises. He observes when your discipline strengthens. And when he sees you approaching activation, he launches interference. Not always through chaos, sometimes through depletion, because exhaustion is one of the most effective weapons against destiny. A tired mind questions itself. A drained spirit postpones action. A foggy mind delays the assignment. So the attack begins. Sudden fatigue, unexplainable mental fog, a strange heaviness that arrives the moment you try to build something meaningful. But notice the timing. The fatigue rarely appears when you are scrolling mindlessly. It rarely appears when you are distracted by ordinary things. It shows up when you try to create, when you try to pray, when you try to plan, when you try to move the vision forward. Why? Because the shadow does not fear your effort. It fears your activation. There is a difference. Many people work hard and never threaten darkness. They labor without awakening. They move without purpose. But when a chosen one begins aligning effort with assignment, something powerful begins forming. Authority awakens, clarity sharpens, momentum builds. And the enemy knows that once momentum stabilizes, destiny becomes difficult to delay. So he attempts to slow you down before that momentum locks in. Fatigue, distraction, mental fog, small interruptions that steal sacred focus. But hear this truth clearly. Your exhaustion is not always weakness. Sometimes it is evidence that your work carries weight. The enemy does not waste energy draining people who are spiritually asleep. He targets those whose actions are beginning to shift timelines, and you are one of them. That is why you must learn a discipline that the chosen eventually master. You move forward anyway, even when tired, even when distracted, even when the fog tries to settle over your mind. You take one step, then another, then another. Because every step taken under resistance strengthens your authority. Every act of discipline weakens the interference, and eventually the pattern breaks. But understand something. The attacks do not remain limited to your energy, because once the enemy realizes fatigue cannot stop you, the battlefield expands again. Soon the pressure begins targeting something even more delicate: your relationships, your communication, your connections with the people around you. And when that happens, chosen one, the fourth signal begins to emerge. Fourth, understand this chosen one. The battlefield begins speaking through words. Not swords, not storms, words. You start noticing something strange. Conversations that once felt simple now feel tense. Messages are misunderstood. Intentions are twisted. You say one thing, but people hear something else. You explain yourself clearly, yet somehow the meaning becomes distorted. And suddenly, relationships that once felt stable begin showing cracks. You feel it, a strange distance. Friends misread your tone. Family questions your motives. Allies begin responding with confusion. You replay conversations in your mind. Did I say something wrong? Did I miscommunicate? Did I push too hard? Chosen one, pause there. Because what you are witnessing is not always natural conflict. Sometimes it is strategic interference. Communication is one of the first battlegrounds the enemy targets. Why? Because unity strengthens the chosen, but confusion fractures it. When words become distorted, trust begins weakening. When trust weakens, distance grows, and distance creates isolation. The enemy understands something many people overlook. If he cannot stop your calling directly, he will attempt to separate you from those who strengthen you. Divide the circle, disrupt the connection, create misunderstanding, and suddenly the people who once supported you begin questioning you. Not because they hate you, not because they wish harm, but because confusion has entered the atmosphere. The battlefield often begins in communication, long before it appears in destiny. One misunderstood conversation, one twisted message, one moment where emotion overrides clarity. And the enemy whispers quietly in the background, "See, they do not understand you. See, you are alone. See, no one truly stands with you." But hear this truth clearly. Isolation is one of darkness's oldest weapons, because a divided soul is easier to discourage. Yet the enemy always underestimates something about the chosen. Isolation does not destroy you, it refines you. When misunderstandings increase, your discernment sharpens. When conversations become tense, your spiritual awareness deepens. You begin learning a difficult but sacred lesson. Not every connection can follow you into destiny. Some relationships were meant for preparation, some were meant for growth, some were meant only for a chapter. And when communication becomes strained, it often reveals who is aligned with your purpose and who was only comfortable with your old version. This does not mean you become bitter, no. Chosen ones do not fight people, they fight darkness. So you remain steady, you speak with clarity, you move with patience. You refuse to allow confusion to poison your heart, because bitterness is exactly what the enemy hopes to plant inside you. But you rise above it, you guard your words, you guard your spirit, you guard your peace. And slowly something powerful begins happening. Your communication becomes sharper, your discernment becomes stronger, your circle becomes smaller, but more aligned. Not everyone will understand this process. Not everyone is meant to, because the chosen are not surrounded by crowds. They are surrounded by alignment. But understand this, the warfare is still escalating, because when confusion cannot stop you, when isolation cannot weaken you, the enemy shifts tactics again. The next attack becomes even more personal. Not through others, not through words, but through something inside your own mind. And when that happens, chosen one, the fifth begins to reveal itself. Fifth, understand this moment. The battlefield moves inside your mind, not around you, inside you. You begin hearing something that sounds like your own voice, but it is not peace. It is not clarity. It is doubt, sudden, sharp, persistent. You are moving forward, and suddenly a whisper rises. Who do you think you are? You begin making progress, and another voice appears. You are not ready. You start stepping toward your calling, and the thought strikes again. This is too big for you. You feel it, a strange wave of hesitation, a quiet pressure pressing against your confidence. You pause, you question, you begin examining your own worth. Chosen one, recognize this carefully, because this attack is not random. The enemy has studied human nature for generations, and he knows one powerful truth. If he can convince a rising soul to doubt itself, the soul will slow down on its own. No chains required, no prison required, just a whisper, a seed of hesitation, a quiet thought that sounds like it came from inside you. But here is the revelation many chosen ones miss. Those thoughts often do not belong to you. They are planted, strategically, carefully, because your mind is the gateway to your authority. When you believe in the assignment placed on your life, your actions become bold. When you trust the anointing placed inside you, your movement becomes unstoppable. But when doubt enters, movement stalls, vision shrinks, power becomes quiet. So the enemy whispers, you are not enough. You will fail. You are not qualified. But pause and ask yourself something powerful. Why do these thoughts become louder right when you begin rising? Why do they appear when your momentum increases? Why do they strike when doors begin opening? Because doubt is not attacking your weakness. It is attacking your authority. The enemy does not fear the version of you that feels small. He fears the version of you that knows exactly who you are. He fears the moment you stop apologizing for your calling. He fears the moment you stop shrinking your voice. He fears the moment you realize something dangerous. You were never ordinary. You were assigned. You were not placed here randomly. You were positioned. And the authority forming inside you is beginning to disturb darkness. So the whispers intensify. But listen carefully now. This is where the chosen awaken. You begin recognizing the pattern. You begin separating your voice from the interference. You begin speaking truth over yourself, not softly, not timidly, with authority. You remind yourself who called you. You remind yourself who protected you. You remind yourself of every moment you survived when you should have fallen, and suddenly the whispers lose strength, because doubt cannot survive where identity becomes clear. And identity is exactly what the enemy fears most. A chosen one who knows who they are becomes extremely difficult to control, extremely difficult to discourage. extremely dangerous to darkness. So the attacks increase, but your awareness increases faster. You stand taller, you think clearer, you move with new confidence, because now you understand something sacred. The louder the doubt became, the closer you were to stepping fully into power. And once the enemy realizes that doubt cannot paralyze you, once he sees that your confidence is stabilizing, he launches another tactic, one that targets your discipline, one that attempts to pull you back into old habits, old patterns, old temptations. Chosen one, that is when the sixth begins to reveal itself. Sixth, understand this clearly. Just when your discipline becomes strongest, old temptations return. You thought you had already buried them. You thought those habits were finished. You fought those battles months ago, maybe years ago. You walked away, you outgrew them. You believed the chapter had closed, but suddenly they reappear. The same old distractions, the same old cravings, the same old invitations from a life you already left behind, and it feels confusing. You ask yourself a painful question. Why now? Why would these temptations show up again when you are finally moving forward, chosen one? This is not coincidence. This is strategy. The shadow realm studies momentum, and when it sees you building discipline, it begins launching countermeasures. Because discipline is dangerous. Discipline creates consistency. Consistency creates progress, and progress leads to destiny. So the enemy attempts to interrupt the chain. He cannot always stop your vision, but he will try to disrupt your habits. Old temptations return. Old environments try to pull you back. Old relationships reappear unexpectedly. Sometimes even your own mind begins romanticizing the very things you fought so hard to escape. It whispers, just this once, just one moment, just one small step back. But chosen one, hear the deeper revelation. These temptations are not random weaknesses. They are targeted tests, tests of alignment. The enemy does not waste energy tempting people who are spiritually asleep. He tempts those who are advancing. Because if he can pull you back into old cycles, your momentum collapses, and momentum is exactly what your destiny requires. Think about the timing. The temptation appears when your focus sharpens. The distraction arrives when your habits improve. The old door opens right when your future begins forming. That is not weakness. That is warfare. And here is the truth most people never realize. Your temptation often reveals your assignment, because darkness frequently attacks the exact area where your authority is forming. If your discipline is strengthening, the enemy will attack discipline. If your focus is sharpening, the enemy will attack focus. If your identity is stabilizing, the enemy will attack identity. But the chosen respond differently. You do not panic. You observe. You recognize the pattern. You see the trap forming in real time. And instead of falling backward, you step forward with greater awareness. You remember what those old paths cost you. You remember the exhaustion, the emptiness, the cycles that drain your spirit. And suddenly the temptation loses its power, because wisdom has replaced ignorance. Clarity has replaced confusion. You are no longer the same person who once fell into those patterns. You have grown, you have sharpened, you have awakened, and every time you resist the pull backward, something powerful happens inside you. Your authority strengthens, your discipline deepens, your spirit becomes harder for darkness to manipulate, and eventually the enemy realizes something frustrating. You are no longer easily derailed, you are no longer easily distracted, but the battle still continues. Because once temptation fails to pull you backward, the system begins trying something else, something more subtle, something that comes not through temptation, but through pressure from the world itself. Pressure to shrink, pressure to blend in, pressure to abandon your rising path. And when that pressure appears, chosen one, the seventh begins to reveal itself. Seventh, understand what begins happening around you now. The pressure stops hiding. It becomes visible, not through attacks, not through temptation, through expectation. You begin feeling it from every direction, subtle comments, quiet suggestions, concerned voices that sound reasonable on the surface. Why are you changing so much? Why can't things just stay the way they were? Why do you take everything so seriously now? And the question behind all those questions is the same. Why can't you just be normal again? Chosen one, and recognize this moment, because when your awakening becomes undeniable, the system begins pushing back. Friends may not understand you anymore. Family may grow uncomfortable with your direction. Co-workers may look at you differently. You feel it, the subtle pressure, not open hostility, something quieter, a gentle attempt to pull you back into the version of you that made everyone comfortable, back into smaller thinking, back into predictable behavior, back into the old patterns the world understands. But understand this revelation. The system prefers predictable people, predictable minds, predictable dreams, predictable limits. Why? Because predictable people are easy to contain. They do not disrupt systems. They do not question structures. They do not awaken others. But you are no longer predictable. Something inside you has awakened. You think differently now. You see differently now. You speak with a clarity that unsettles people who are still asleep. And without even realizing it, the world begins applying pressure. Blend in, slow down, stop talking about purpose, stop thinking so big, stop acting like you were meant for something more. But hear this clearly. This pressure is not proof that you are wrong. It is proof that you have outgrown the container. You are no longer operating at the level the environment expects. And when that happens, two things occur. Either the environment evolves, or it attempts to shrink you back down. This is one of the oldest strategies in the Matrix. Contain the rising soul. If the world cannot stop your awakening directly, it tries to normalize it. Turn your fire into something manageable. Turn your vision into something smaller. Turn your destiny into something quiet. But chosen one, you must refuse this trap. You were never designed to shrink. You were never assigned to blend in. You were not placed here to make the world comfortable. You were placed here to awaken something. An awakening always disrupts comfort. Light disrupts darkness. Truth disrupts illusion. Purpose disrupts systems built on sleep. That is why the pressure appears, because your growth is now visible. Your courage is becoming noticeable. Your refusal to return to the old version of yourself is becoming undeniable. And some people will try to convince you that staying small is wisdom, that settling is maturity, that limiting your vision is stability. But you know better now. You feel it in your spirit. You cannot go back. Not after what you have seen. Not after what you have understood. Not after what you have survived. The old life cannot hold you anymore. And that realization makes you dangerous to systems that rely on silence. But understand something even deeper. This pressure is only the beginning. Because once you refuse to shrink, once you refuse to return to normal, once you step fully into your rising identity, the spiritual atmosphere begins shifting around you in a way that cannot be ignored. You begin sensing something, a strange awareness, a feeling that unseen forces are paying attention, watching, testing, and when that awareness begins awakening inside you, chosen one, the eighth begins to reveal itself. Eighth, understand what begins awakening inside you now. Your awareness sharpens, not your imagination, your awareness. You begin sensing something you cannot easily explain. A strange tension in the spiritual atmosphere. Moments when you feel watched, even when no one is there. Moments when your spirit suddenly becomes alert. Your body may be calm, but something deeper inside you stands up. You feel it in quiet rooms. You feel it in certain environments. You feel it especially when you begin praying, planning, or stepping toward your next move. A pressure, a heaviness, an awareness that something unseen is paying attention. And for a moment you wonder, am I imagining this? Is this just stress but chosen one? Hear this clearly. This is not paranoia. This is perception. Your spiritual senses are waking up, because the closer you move to divine assignment, the more visible the battlefield becomes. Most people move through life unaware of spiritual warfare. They only see the physical. They only trust what their eyes can measure. But the chosen begin sensing something deeper. They begin recognizing the invisible tension between light and darkness. And when that awareness begins awakening, everything changes. You start noticing patterns. Dreams become more intense, not random dreams, symbolic dreams, dreams that feel like messages, dreams that wake you suddenly in the middle of the night with your spirit alert. Then obstacles appear, strange delays, unusual resistance, moments where everything seems to push against you at once. And yet at the same time, something inside you grows stronger. Your intuition sharpens. Your discernment deepens. You begin sensing which environments carry peace and which carry tension, which people carry light and which carry hidden agendas, which opportunities are aligned and which are traps. And suddenly you realize something powerful. The battlefield has always existed. You are just now able to see it, and that realization changes everything. Because once the battlefield becomes visible, the chosen stop moving blindly. You become intentional. You become prayerful. You become strategic, not fearful, never fearful. Because awareness is not meant to weaken you. It is meant to prepare you. When a warrior recognizes the battlefield, the warrior does not panic. The warrior becomes focused. And that is exactly what is happening to you. Your awareness is increasing because your spiritual rank is rising. Darkness is noticing your movement. The enemy is observing your progress. Not because you are weak, because you are becoming dangerous. Dangerous to deception, dangerous to spiritual stagnation, dangerous to systems that rely on silence and sleep. And the closer you move toward the full activation of your purpose, the more the unseen realm reacts. But hear this truth clearly. Observation does not mean defeat. Attention does not mean vulnerability. In fact, it means the opposite. It means your life is beginning to matter in ways that disturb darkness. Your prayers carry weight. Your decisions carry consequences. Your movement is no longer small. And that is why the atmosphere feels different. Because you are approaching a threshold, a moment where the resistance reaches its highest level. The final surge of pressure before destiny breaks open. Chosen one. This is where very few people understand what is happening. Because when the war becomes loudest, when the pressure becomes heaviest, when the enemy launches everything at once, that is when the ninth begins to reveal itself. Ninth, understand the moment you may be standing in right now. The resistance suddenly becomes heavier than anything before it. Not small obstacles, not subtle interference. Everything intensifies. Problems stack up. Pressure multiplies. Chaos grows louder. It feels like every direction carries weight. Doors hesitate. People misunderstand you. Distractions appear from nowhere. And for a moment, the question rises again. Why now? Why does everything feel harder right when you are closest to breakthrough, chosen one? This is the moment many people misread. Because the shadow realm understands thresholds. It knows when a soul is approaching the edge of transformation. It knows when a destiny is about to step fully into the world. And right before that crossing, the strongest resistance appears. Not because you are failing, because you are succeeding. The enemy launches preemptive strikes, one final surge of pressure, one final storm, one final attempt to convince you that turning back would be easier. And for a moment, the battlefield becomes loud. Very loud. Your mind is tested, your patience is tested, your faith is tested. But listen carefully. This moment carries a secret that only awakened souls eventually understand. The war becomes loudest right before heaven releases the next level, right before doors open that no enemy can close, right before your authority stabilizes in ways that cannot be reversed. Darkness senses it. That is why the resistance becomes desperate. That is why the chaos becomes intense. But desperation is not strength. Desperation is fear. The shadow realm fears what happens if you refuse to retreat. Because once you cross the threshold, your confidence will never return to its old fragile state. Once you cross the threshold, your authority will carry a weight that opposition cannot easily shake. Once you cross the threshold, the version of you that used to doubt will no longer exist. And that is what darkness fears most. A fully awakened chosen one. Not someone searching, not someone surviving, someone who knows their assignment, knows their authority, knows that every storm they endured was preparation. So hear this clearly. If the pressure around your life has recently intensified, if the warfare feels heavier, if the resistance feels louder than anything you experienced before, do not assume you are losing ground. You may be standing at the edge of your greatest breakthrough, because the final battle often looks like chaos. But behind that chaos, something powerful is forming. Doors aligning, protection surrounding you, divine timing moving into position. And when the moment arrives, everything shifts. Chosen one, you were never ordinary. Your life was never random. Every rejection prepared you. Every battle sharpened you. Every lonely season strengthened you. You were being trained. You were being refined. You were being prepared to carry something the ordinary world cannot understand. You are chosen, marked, assigned. And the pressure you survived was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal you. So stand firm now. Do not shrink. Do not retreat. Do not surrender your ground when the storm grows loud. Because storms do not appear to stop destiny. They appear to announce it. If this message reached you at the exact moment you needed it, write 9 in the comments. Let the algorithm know that awakened souls are gathering here. Subscribe to this channel. Stand among those who understand the battlefield, because the chosen are rising, and the darkness already knows it. Your destiny is not fragile, your calling is not reversible, and nothing formed against a chosen life will ever stand.